Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is the Ask Amadeus show where we talk about internet, we talk about culture, we talk about real estate, how they intertwine. Everything's a little bit different. Sometimes we have guests, but this episode right now, whether you like him or not, we're talking about the big Donnie T from Queens. Okay, Donald Trump. We're going to go over the news cycle this week because it was crazy. Obviously, if you've been paying attention, we're going to start off with the tax debate, which I know a lot about, if I do say so myself. I'm not like an expert, okay? I'm a guy on the internet certified. Number two, the debate. And number three, the big C, getting sick, quarantine, all that good stuff. If you like the podcast, great. Subscribe, tell your friend. But first, I got to sell you something. Are you registered to vote? Headcount is a nonpartisan organization that works with music and entertainment industry to get fans to vote. To update or check your voter registration status, go to headcount.org, where you'll find all the information you need to be ready for Election Day. I'm actually going to the Election Commission in Brooklyn in person. It's going to be so exciting. I couldn't do the mail in ballots. My paperwork is not up to par to do it online. So sometimes you got to go in person, and everyone's telling you it's such an important thing to vote right now. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Do whatever you want. You should probably vote. It's your right. But I'm not here to tell you to take a shower or vote. It's one thing you should just do. Things matter, okay? With all the changes in government, with the big C talking around, and Mr. Big D de Blasio and Cuomo and all your favorite governors telling you what to do, get out there and vote. If you don't like the orange man, get him out. If you do, keep him there. Sleepy Joe's over there too. He's probably going to do a fine job as well. We're all going to be okay, but just get out and vote. Head count. Have a good one. It's a beautiful day out in October. I'm so grateful, so thankful. It's a Monday. Things are looking on and up. Big Donnie's is not out of the hospital, but he's looking good. We hear Paris. We have more lockdowns coming. The other Big D, Mr. Bill De Blasio, he says he's going to shut down 5 zip codes. But we're going to talk about the Big Donnie right now because he had a big week for him in the news. Obviously, all things internet and swampy are surrounding the man who is the president, Donald Trump. Let's talk about his taxes. Last week, there was a big controversy because the New York Times supposedly someone leaked to them his tax returns, which is indicated that for 2016 and 17 he had a tax bill of 750. Maybe it was 1 year was 750, but it was his personal liability for federal income tax was 750, and people were up in arms. They were very angry. And to maybe some extent they should be, maybe some extent it was misunderstood. But let's talk about this. Taxes, you can only, what's the phrase? You can never avoid death and taxes. Unless you own a company and you employ lots of people, you're the president of the United States, apparently. But it's not limited to him. It goes to Amazon. It goes to Netflix. A lot of companies who've grown quite a lot have um, utilized the U.S. tax code. It is very complicated. It has lots of write-offs. It's really designed, in my opinion, for asset appreciation, assets that spit off money for you. Income is highly taxed. So if you just own or just go to work and come back, you're in a state like California, you earn a lot of money. You could be paying 55, 60% in taxes. How insane is that? You have to work half the week just to pay taxes so you can earn the other half, I guess. It's insane to me. Um, but if you employ people say, oh, they only owe $750 with the tax. That is not correct. Okay. When you own businesses, several businesses in your name, you at the end of the year, say you have $1 million profit, you can hire 10 people for $100,000 and there's still tax going to be paid. That is an income tax of 30%, whatever it may be for that state. Archie's under the table, whatever that may be. Or you pay the taxes, the profit taxes to the feds, and you get less value out of it. That's why business owners tend to rehire people, invest in all different sorts of products you need specifically for real estate. Real estate depreciation. If you've ever been in an old house, anyone who's owned a house or is a landlord, things fall apart and it gets expensive and manpower is expensive. The minimum wage in New York just went up to $15. Operating a business has expenses. You also can carry losses from year to year and delay taxes if you have bad year or you're investing or using that money to do something else. For instance, in the New York Times article, a couple issues with it. One thing's crazy. I think he spent $70,000 on his hair. I mean, it's the Donnie's hair, but that's a lot of money. That's the thing. I think it's $200 a day, 7 days a week for your hair. I mean, I guess if you're a professional, celebrity or something for a while, you're the president, you need to get your hair done. But the organization also supposedly they didn't release the actual tax returns, which is kind of crazy. Maybe you should. He does have right to privacy, but writing this whole article for New York Times without showing certain parts is iffy. And also, it's an anonymous source. Go figure. But $70,000 for hair, that's a lot. That's a lot of a write-off, okay? But at the same time, it also reported that there was 24,000 employees. Those employees all pay income tax and they all pay Social Security taxes. And in the tax book, it's the person who generates the taxable event. They made the taxes. I had this argument with somebody about talking about their salary. It was a very large salary. Like, well, that's my salary. I'm like, no, it's not your salary. That's not your taxes. It's your employer creating that event. Like they can hire someone else. You have a skill which you negotiated a contract for, yes, but that's their tax money. That's their income they're giving you. It's not your income you're giving them. You're trading your time and your expertise for a certain amount of money as a service. Okay. Depreciate. Another reason why the tax code is like this is, say, for instance, like buildings in cities, when things like COVID, when things fall apart, buildings need to be maintained for order and things like that, and keep crime down. This is why buildings have a lot of write-offs for their buildings. And so to say, and also with Amazon, saying this is another argument people had back in the day with Amazon, to say Amazon's not paying any taxes is insane. We lost 30,000 jobs from high-end jobs for Long Island City with the AOC debacle a few years ago. They get write-offs because we get that taxes in different ways. And when the tax code promotes growth of assets in the economy, they want you to build and rebuild things and expand, and that has trickle down effects. It really does. Businesses flourish, like Williamsburg, when offices move there, wages went there, the real estate goes up. The real estate gets taken care of, and when they leave, the real estate goes down, and the quality of life goes down, and less taxes actually get paid because water bills don't get paid. Vacancies cause like interruptions and getting taxes, and businesses aren't operating, so they're not paying sales taxes. But you get taxed in different ways. You get taxed on income, you get taxed on your property, and you get taxed on sales tax. Okay, so to say that Amazon or Trump are not paying taxes, that's just not true. All right. We also had another instance in Sunset Park where the rezoning has been, due to public pushback, has been again delaying redevelopment of a pretty much empty not empty, but it's a manufacturing area with large plots of land that not a lot of people will be displaced, right? Jeff, that's another 20,000 jobs that left New York. This is kind of in the are they paying their fair share of taxes situation. I mean, let's be serious. You wouldn't be able to have stuff come to your house in 2 days without Amazon spending all that money, reinvesting it. Some people say uncouth business practices of buying up other people's businesses. That's also true. I'm not disagreeing with that. But you wouldn't get stuff like Amazon Web Services that basically allowed thousands of other businesses to operate because they bring down the cost of being online. So I know I went on a different tangent from the Donnie, but it's to say that you are employing people, and should you be? It's better for the economy, for other people. You're creating jobs, you're buying products, you're supporting other businesses when you reinvest as much as possible. And that's how it's kind of set up. We're not maybe taking advantage of it or embellishing. That's not a good thing. But to say that it's just completely criminal or it's completely inappropriate is just not looking at the whole picture. All right. So for the next one right here, we're going to talk a few minutes about the debate and then talk about the health situation. Oh man, so the debate was a total mess. Can't deny it. Can't deny it at all. Just too much interrupting. Donnie was way too aggressive out the bat. I thought he looked really bad. Biden, I thought, looked really good given the framing of how bad he said, or Donald said he would be. I thought he did a pretty good job. He did fumble quite a few times. He did get his facts mixed up, but he was pretty convincing, and he broke the fourth wall. Third wall, fourth wall. He looked directly at the camera a lot and kind of tried to make that connection, which I thought was pretty good of Joe. Joe did a great job in terms of that, and he kind of stuck to his points that he wanted to make. He did have a lot of help from Chris Wallace. Chris Wallace was absolutely terrible. That moderator should never moderate again. He got out of hand. He couldn't control Trump. He couldn't control Biden. He couldn't control himself, which was the weirdest part. He basically was interjecting the whole time. I thought that was not very cool of him. And he, the next day he said that he was upset that it got out of hand, which it's great to admit, but it was an injustice. No one won, although I think kind of Biden won, in my opinion. But who definitely lost is the American people. We lost. It's inappropriate. You can't just. We had with everything going on. We needed an opportunity to sort some things out. We got the fake news. We got Donald on Twitter going insane. You can't believe anything he says half the time. Biden doesn't know what he's saying half the time, and then the media makes up the difference. This was actually kind of a classic personification, like I guess a better word would be microcosm about what's going on right now. You got this bombastic bull in a china shop on the left or on the right. I don't like really saying right or left. I don't really consider Trump like a true right Republican. He's kind of like an outsider. And then you have establishment Democrat who's kind of in bed with the media that people think. And then you have a media who's framing questions and using their influence to turn things a certain way, specifically interrupting Trump quite a lot. But the very fine people questions was it's been debunked 100 times. He's gone 100 times saying he denounces supremacy of any kind. He debunks critical race theory. But for some reason, it keeps getting asked over and over again. And everyone knows that the full quote of that very fine people on both sides also says he specifically denounces white supremacy, specifically everybody who's bad. Now, could have he just said yes? Yes, he could have said yes and just said, I denounce this. But he's so prideful and got such a huge ego that he couldn't do that. He said sure twice. I'll denounce him. And he's like, oh, what do you want me to denounce? And then he said stand down and stand by. Like what the was that, man? You can't be saying that kind of stuff. Totally get where everyone's coming from. Most people know, I think I don't think the president is doing an amazing job, but I think he's way better than anything else we could have. And I thought he's done a pretty good job, and he's not that bad. But I would say that this debate was pretty bad. Gotta get it to him. I think Biden won. America lost. Chris Wallace should never moderate a debate again. That's the deal. And to move on to the next segment here, what happened with Donnie? He got the COVID. He's got the vid. He's got the big C. He's locked up, and he doesn't want to be in the lockdown for very long. It's kind of fitting that it happened right after the event. But good news, Biden's fine. His wife's fine. Pence is fine. Everything's all good. After that happened, I was like, this act. I mean, come on, give me a break. The writers of 2020 are just like too on the nose. So I kind of zoned out a little bit on that, and that's why I wanted to make this segment and be done with it. So we're going to actually, we have a little ad here for getting out to vote. Go do it. I'm actually going to go register to vote right after this. And hope you enjoy. We'll talk We'll talk about getting COVID, the response, and the response to the markets here on a Monday. And lastly, we're going to talk about Trumpy Poo, Trumpy Bear. He got the big C. That is not a good situation. But a lot of people are speculating on his health. I think it's completely ridiculous to do that. You have the doctors to assess the president's health. He does not need to disclose every single thing about his health, if it's good or bad. He released some videos, which is looking very good. We looked pretty with it. But they weren't telling the full truth when they said that he had to have air and had to have extra oxygen on Friday. By Saturday morning, he was doing pretty well. But I'm thinking that, listen, they've been anticipating this for a while. He was gonna get it. He's out at rallies. He doesn't wear his mask. He kind of leaned into not wearing a mask and downplaying the coronavirus. But this is going to be a big switch. I mean, so if you think that he wasn't going to get it, then whatever. It's inevitable, for at least for that guy. But I think he's going to be okay. We have the military on it. And I think it's Monday now. He's doing, I think it's day 5 or something, 6. He's doing better. The markets have rebounded quite a lot, which is great. But it's going to do one of two things. One, he's going to pass. If he doesn't survive, that would be absolutely terrible. It would not be good for anybody. A lot of people were disgustingly cheering about it. Literally in the morning when I went to my coffee shop, people were talking about it, and someone was doing a jig because they were so happy. Like it was Christmas. That's ridiculous. Come on. Doesn't matter how much you hate the guy. And then saying, "Oh, it couldn't happen to a worse person." I'm like, listen, right now, the last thing we need is quarantining the president before a presidential debate. If he loses, he needs to lose fair and square. If he wins, he needs to be healthy and getting out there. But it's going to make him either. I think it's going to help him if he does well and be almost give sympathy and support. And if he does poorly, it's going to be, ha ha, how dare you? Or not how dare you, but look at yourself. You look at yourself, you fool. You're playing it down. You're playing it fast and loose. They were at that Amy Coney Barrett inauguration, kissing and hugging, all that stuff. But Bill Barr is being quarantined. He's just self quarantining. So it's going to go one of two ways, which is looking. Listen, when we have the power of the scientists of the United States military at the back, they are going to do a good job. And I was actually a little to end in this. I was coming from one of my open houses today. It was kind of sad. I didn't really like it. There was a Biden Harris um, poster or flag or whatever, and then the people had a puppet of the president hanging, there in an inappropriate way. I don't really want to say it, but it was just inappropriate. And it was like, listen, no matter how much everyone hates each other or how much they're upset about this or that, or enjoy being mad about what the owning the libs, or being mad at Donald Man, Orange Man bad. Everyone needs to relax, take a moment back. The president got COVID. You could get COVID. We could all get COVID. Someone knows who could get COVID. And stop saying that everyone is bad or the system's bad, because it's not true. We need to come together, and whether it's Biden or Trump, or maybe Kamala or Nancy Pelosi, who knows what's going to happen with all these ballots. I got a fake one. I got an extra one in my box today, which is inappropriate. I'll ask them what they do. People getting messed up ones last week. Everyone needs to come together. Whoever the president is, Biden or Trump, they're not going to win or save you or save society. It's a symptom. It's a product of lots of things going on. Obviously, they have a lot of influence, but just to be so reliant on this one person, this one event, I hope it's not going to be cause as much of an issue, and get a little bit. People can have a little bit more perspective of coming together, self-reliance, and being there for one another, even if you disagree and you get into fights with your friends and your aunties and baby boomer and boomer relatives on Facebook. Take a chill pill. All right. If you like the podcast, like, subscribe. I do these twice a week. Ask Amadeus show, culture, internet. We talk a little bit about real estate. If you're looking to buy, sell, or rent a house, give me a call. Bye.